the maskana of the union of the two oifani, the two sidrei hamshocha, the hamshocha mitzad seder hishtalsheles, which also includes in the tzad union of Cyrus, but they're l'mayla liva olu v'afu pikein. They're all klulim in the rotzen kodum of union hishtalsheles bilvad. And then we saw there was a seder l'mayla hishtalsheles, and both of those sidrei hamshocha, makoirom and makor hamshochosim is in moichin stimua. And the union of Cyrus, Kenisko. However, the Seder Ashayach L'Shtalsheles is from what we call the Moisrei HaMoichin of Moiches Timua. Only a Ha'ora, how Moiches Timua is Shayach to union Arich, which is already Kitzeng Yitzhak. That's already a Ha'ora. And since the Etzem is a Ha'ora, so then all the Inyonim which are Nimshochim from it are Derech Ha'ora, the Ha'ora. And therefore the Cyrus in Yonim is only Derech Tzimtzum on Miut till we call it the infant Moisrei HaMoichin. Ve'ilu, the Lamayla Mishtalsheles, Shorsha is in Moiches Timoa, how it's a Kli. And how Mislabish and Misachid in Moiches Timoa, Reisha de Lois Yad, how Pnimis Atik, had the Pnimis Mamish of Atik, Reisha de Lois Yada is Mislabish and Miskala in Moiches Timoa. And then the Hamshocha is a Hamshocha of the Etzem Mamish. And we saw that when we talk about Hamshochas Etzem, well, that means that the Etzem itself is Miskale and Nimshoch, because Kol Etzem is not Nimshoch, only a Ha'orim Mimenu, that's already the union of Ishtalsheles. As the Chiddush of this Hamshocha is that the Etzem itself is Nimshoch, and that's the union of the Tzimtzum Ha'atzmi derech Tzinoiros HaSayres. We saw the Chalolim and the Tzinoiros of the Sayres. And we saw Hamshocha Zu, I think that's where we're holding, in about 3 or 4 lines before the end of Reish Tes. Hamshocha Zu, Gedoylo V'atzuma, Lamalish Kol HaPagomim. But that's able to be Mamali, as Kol HaPagomim, Mimesh Kol HaShona, and that's the Hamshocha on Yom Kippurim, or the Beklal, the Hamshocha of Tishrei, Siyum HaShona. Lamalish Kol HaPagamim, Lefi shehi Hamshocha mibchinas Antu Shleimusa Dechulhu, V'Antu Mamalei Kol Shmohon. In other words, Davki because your Shleimusa Dechulhu, Gilui Tataynu Shubamatzi, or Mamish Atzmas, how it is in Moiches Timoa, Reisha de Lois Yada. That's the Shleimus of the Atzmas Mamish, Shleimusa de Chulhu, Ibamela, that's Mamalei Kol Shmohon. So we have to say that the beer in that Loshen, Mamalei Kol Shmohon, is not just that it's a Oya Pnimi and Nimshach into the Shemesh boyfriend that it's Mekayim them, but Oya Pnimi. No, we also, the Mashmoy is here being Mamalei Kol Shmohon. If there's been a Chisoran and a Pagam in those Shmohon, then this oil, being as it is, Mishleimus Atzmas, it's able to be Mamalei, meaning Matakin, and fill up all the gaps and the Chisrenas that came about through Inyonim, which weren't Lafia Kavana Mitzad Ramata. And that's a pshat, Mamalei Kol Shmohon.
What's the translation of the word Shmohon?
Shmohon is Shemois. The Shmohon is the plural for the word Shem in Aramaic. Shemois means the union of the Kelim. The Eliyesei, Bebchinas Shleimus, Ba'etem, Al Kain Hu Mamalei Kol Shmohon. In other words, it's Mamalei all of the Kelim and all the Shemois, how they are in the Esesphiras Datzilas. Because as one else, he's Mavaya the Alter Rebbe in Shara in the Tchilas Igeres HaTshuva, that alidei the pagamim and alidei inyonim of chet v'oven, inyonim bilti rutzuyim, well, that causes a chisonin in the kelim v'chulu. Therefore, this oil is such a atzmistic oil, such a oil atzmi that it's mamaliko achisreinis oilu, v'zehu keshemen hatoiv al haroish yored al hazokon. That's the posik in Tehillim. It's written when I get Aaron HaKohen, like the Shemen HaToiv al HaRoish, and which is Yored al HaZokor. So we say that the union of Shemen HaToiv, Yehu P'chinas Atik, is well known. Shemen HaToiv means the union of P'nimis Atik, Mamish, and that's Yored al HaRoish, meaning on the union of the Makiv. How it's yored, this oil is behemoth makif to the union of all the essence to chokma gluya, but it comes through the union of zokon. What zokon we saw was the union from Cyrus, and here we have to say it's nimshuk, but even pnimi in the Cyrus kufa, being as it is a hamshocha atzmiyah. The shemen hatoivu pnimis atik, v'nimshuk b'moiches timor datika. It comes into the union from moiches timor. Of Atika Mamish. Now that's an interesting lotion. Moiches Timor of Atika. Not Atika how it is in Moiches Timor, but Moiches Timor of Atika. So we see that that's an interesting tziruf of the lotion. In other words, that Moiches Timor is Mamish shayach to Atik, even though it's already the Chochma of Arik. Ome Moiches Timor nimsha b'chinas ha'atzmus derech halal hasayres. So he teaches them slightly differently. That he teaches that the Shemen HaTeva al HaRoish, that's in the Indian how the Shemen HaTeva, Mamish Pnimius Atik, is misyachid with Moiches Timor. It's mislabish and misyachid. That's the Indian of Shemen HaTeva al HaRoish. Moiches Timor being the Indian from Moich is the Indian from Roish. Yored al Zokon is how that's nimshach, the Cyrus of the Zokon from Moiches Timor into the Esespheres Flamat. Atzmas derech cholol Cyrus. And we see here each time the Rebbe is madgish when I get to the Cyrus from Atik, that the Kavona is the pnimis of the Cyrus. And as we spoke about that Barichas in the previous Shurim. Ubichdei lahamshik mipchinas Yud Gimel Tchilni Dikna. B'shorosh hamshochosam mibchinas atzmas moiches timor zeu shemamshichim alidei teshuva. That's precisely like we saw, not stam tshuva, not tshuva mi ma'amakim mi oimek la oimek. What that's the union of tshuva mi umke de liebe. Like we were medactic earlier in this particular maimah, there's two different madregas in the union of amkus or oimek pnimis alev. There's the union of Oimek, which can nonetheless come into some form of Oisias, and then there's a union which is Lamaila even Mizeh, a union from Tzaikas Alev Kipshute. But that's Tshuva Mi Umke in the Lev Gufa, the union from Oimek. And Ali Deizeh, we come to the union from Atzma Saint Seif, how he's Nimtza Malubish in the union of Moiches Timor. So we see that you're undergoing your jet lag in quite a heroic fashion over there. Nonetheless, the jet lag is smiting him in the midst of a Shirinayim base. So he said, "Dehine hamshochet to say the ishtavshelas umi arich anpim." That's from the etzem madrega of arich. What that's the inim rotzen al hoachilas. We pointed out arich is inim from rotzen, and atik is tainu. Rotzen. In this particular case, the rotzen, how it's miskale almanas lehovi leesespheres ta'atzilas, which means that it's already short to the union of say the histalshelos or elements. Sham shocha hi rach ha'ora, mipnei shekama etzem hi rach ha'ora. But even though that Shocha comes from very high in Arif, and like we said, it comes from Moiches Timor also, but that's the union of Chitzenius Moiches Timor. How Moiches Timor is in that regard only a Ha'ora Bilvad, not the Amitis Pnimius of Moiches Timor. V'liyos Rach Shoyrush L'nei Tzolim, Tzorik liyos al yedei siders yesh nimshochim michitzenius moiches timor. And since he's Indian from Ashoirish to the Indian of Nertzolim, or he's rotten, he's a Indian from Makif Lagabi Nertzolim, it therefore has to be an Indian from siders, but it's michitzenius moiches timor bilva. And that's what we saw was and that's what he's medatik in the brackets, that even the etzem is only a ha'or, it's only chitzenius moiches timor. However, the whole seder of how it is the amshocha milmayla miseder yishtaushus hu amshocha mi pnimius atik mamish reisha delo yisya yadar. We pointed out that's the Rosh HaGimel of all the Gimel Rosh HaRoshim, like the Alter Rebbe's medactic bimfurish in Lekutei Torah and the Drushim for Yom Kippurim, that reisha delo yodar v'lo yisya. Eloi Isyada, that's the lesson in the very early, what's called that, Sefer Tznius in it, one of the early Sifrei Kabbalah, that, or it's in the Pirush of the Arizal, Allah Sifrei Tznius, Pirush Talmud Arizal. He brings over there, Lo Yoda, Lo Isyada. In other words, it's so great and so Atzmias, Bechina Taktoina, Shepamai Tzil Mamish, it doesn't even know of its own self. Not only it's not known to other Bechinas Lamata Himenu, it's not even known in its own self. That's what the Alter Rebbe doesn't even know what it is, because it's so botel, it doesn't even feel that it's any Indian klal. I feel a Indian botel. It's just bittel be'etzem amuz. And as far as Reish Deloish Yada, Etzem Nimshach, Mipnei Shezer Lamayla Mihelem Ve'Kilu, and that's what we were married, if you remember in last week's Shia, that why is the whole Indian demand that if there's any Gilui from this Indian, then it has to be the Etzem itself, because when we talk about Lamayla Mi'ishtaus, we mean Lamayla Mihelem Ve'Kilu Gam Yachad. This is really not trying to say it's Mizkala, it's not trying to say it's Nimshach. So if it is, then it's only the Etzem itself is Yored and Mischaber with the Madrega Shalamata. Tzorik Liya is Gam Kain Derech Ma'avir or Ma'avar HaSayres. We saw that they have to come through the Ma'avar of the Sayres, and that's the Pnimis of the Sayres. How the Etzem passes through the Cholol of the Sayres. Shalidei, and when we compared that to the Indian of the Mashpech, Shalidei Ma'avir Yuchel is Kabel Lamata. In other words, that's a very fascinating symptom which fetches it somehow together in order that it should be able to be Yoired Klapei de Makablim, of it remains what it is BMS. That's the great chiddush, that even though that etzem is miskala in the lamata, nonetheless the makabel remains per kiyuma, and he's not misbatal agamri b'metziusay. But who bechinas pnimius, and we have to say that that's mitzat the kavona aliena. The kavona aliena is Sokosof wants that, and therefore that's an asinus koyat that the makabel shouldn't be mamish misbatal b'metziusay. And there's also other inyonim b'zeh, alidei yiz avoda, and alidei tikun kli shaloi, alidei avoda shaloi, he also becomes a certain kli to be makabel that kilo. Al chaponim yuchal is kabel amata, v'hu b'chinas pnimius yud gimel tikunei dikno b'klal, v'mazel v'nei tzer bifrat. Here we go back to this very fascinating expression, the mazel v'nei tzer. Yeah, what we saw the different lashonos and tiktukim v'nageh lazeh. Yeah, b'frat shenimshach me'oimek lo'oimek. Yeah, what that's the Indian from Pnimius, Atik and Moichasti, oimek and oimek are those two inyonim. But Pnimius Atik is mamish reisha delois yada, and that's mizgala and mishachid and nimshach mislavish in Moichasti moa. V'ubchina shemen ha-toiv. That's the Indian. What Shemen Beklal is Pnimius, it's Shemen as is one the Indian from Pnimius HaChochma. So in this particular movement, it's the inner, that's why it's called Shemen HaToiv, the Indian of Toiv HaAtzmi from Pnimius Ati. V'lahovin beis many hamshoches hanal. In order to understand more of those two hamshoches be'ikar, shur she'ez ishtausheles or elements, and the second hamshocha, which is Bi'ika Mitzad Lamayla Mi'ishtaushilas, Reish Lahachtim, Tchilo, Mashikosu, Shemen Ukteirus Yesamach Leiv. Ja, wie steht dort? Mesek Riehu Miatzas Nofesh. It's a pasuk in chapter Kov Zayin in Mishlei. Very famous. There's Maimonic Siddur from the Rebbeim on that pasuk. Shemen Ukteirus Yesamach Leiv. So Rashi learns over there by Pashtas that Shemen Ukteirus, wie kommen sie zusammen? Shemen is a liquid and Ukteirus is a how do you call it, a cloud of reach. Was kommen sie zusammen? So Rashi says that the kavanah in Shemen is also the reach of Shemen Afar Simoin. As they bring Rashi, there's a very famous Shemen of the Afar Simoin, which is it's well known. It's got a very amazing reach. Brought down in the Zohar Kodesh, become a Mekaymes. It's indicatory of a very high madrega, Pnimis Amaki of Chulu. Mamela Shemen Ukteirus means that both of these inyonim are in for Makiv. Now one is mitzad what you might call a noizel, a gush noizel, and one is mitzad the for Ketir. As he learned Rashi. And then Rashi brings different pirushim in the Hemshech at the pasuk. He brings two psukim in Umesek Riehu Miatzas Nofesh. Al Chaponim Mesek Riehu means the sweetness of a good friend. L'chol pirushim it means that if you show your chaver be'esay tztachus, you show him a good face, you show him in friendship and let mitmitem v'chulu is das a dover tov v'niflo. Shoy Al Chaponim, that's Rashi. So Rashi just learns that it's not necessarily talking about anything miyuchad. It just means that you can have things which produce a good reach, and they're called keteros b'ifin kloli, and you can have a shemen which causes a reach, and that's, for example, a shemen like shemen mafar simon. However, comes along the Rebbe now and he says, "Isa bebechaye reish parsha titzave b'shem hamedrash." Now it's well known that the Rabbeinu Bechaye, if you look in his Pirush al Torah, at the beginning of every parsha, he's got like he makes like a whole sort of a Musa drosha at the beginning of before he gets into his Pirush on each parsha. And what he usually does is he brings a pasuk from Beroiva Makaimas, he brings a pasuk from Mishlei, and he dashes that pasuk and he shows how it's got a shaykhs to the parsha which is about to be dealt with. And he's mafli the Indian of Chokmah Shlomo HaMelech, and how the Indian of Shlomo HaMelech can be seen as the things that he said are shaykhs to this parsha, and the yichud of the divrei Kabbalah with the divrei Torah, and the arichas what he brings there. He does it by every parsha with a beli yotzim and a klal, the Rabbeinu Bechaye. So when the Rebbe brings here Rabbeinu Bechaye reish parsha tetzaveh, it's not already inside the psukim of it, but it's in this like hakdoma. And he still took up them posik before Parsha Tetzaveh, which deals with the menorah right at the beginning, and also deals, behemshah. At the end of Parsha Tetzaveh mentions the Keteros. It's Dorit, the Rabbeinu Bechaye brings that posik, Shemen Ukteirus Yesamach Leiv, V'mesek Riehu Miatzas Nofesh. He says b'shem hamedrash, because at the beginning he learns a whole Indian b'derech hamusa b'pashto, and then later he says the Rabbeinu Bechaye v'hinei b'medrash, and then he dashens more lafi ruach hamedrash. But it's just interesting at the beginning. It's amazing how the great Meforshim like the Rishonim, how they saw everything. They saw kshorim bein Indian la'inyan. And they sort of talk in a very, direct way. The same when you learn sometimes the Ramban and others, you just get this amazing sort of giluya, musari of giluya, b'kol minei inyonim, that their words are so full of dag sheinas b'chochma elokis. So he brings a go and onims. It's very interesting. Just by the way, it's not really shot to the Hemshech Alamayim of Bechlau. It's just interesting. The Rabbeinu Bechaye teaches over there that Keteros and Shemen mean Posha Kipshute, the reach that comes off from a tavshil, from a good prepared Michael that you do for somebody who needs to be, needs encouragement and help. That's what he learns. That if you cook and you matriach yourself, especially, I say like the Rabbeinu, for a mensch, what he's in a state where he needs idud and he needs help and he needs encouragement, and that's the union from Ketores, and that's the union from Shemen, and that gives off a beautiful reach, and that's better even than all the H's that you'll give it. Sometimes you've got to just push it, keep sure to look after him in such a way that he'll smell, something being cooked, and he'll smell something being done for him. But Pashtus Begashmi and the health Timarois, and then that's even better than Mesik Riehu. Well, it's at least not worth. It's moeded him. And then it goes on, Mesik Riehu, to show him a sweetness is better than all the haters and to come to do it. And he brings it up befat. Interessante Taisha Sarayan. Befat when I get to a Gel Tzedek, he says somebody, I find bringt dort rein as auch in Yonim. Pity ployers. He said that a mensch Beklal has left things behind and he's gone over to another country, another way of life. And he said he needs it specially. As a mensch up and Dave Miyuchad cooking him a Michael, and he should be able to smell that the world around is interested in assisting him. I say something like that. It's mamish betel pill. When I saw it, I was at Kerikater, Ben Chais Medaktik in every little Indian, and then he goes on. When he's finished with that particular, and then he says this Indian, B'Shem HaMeders. That's Kil B'derech HaPashtus V'Amusa. And then he says B'derech HaMeders, and I hooked on with this Indian. Shemen HaManoiro. He teaches that the Indian from Shemen is referring to the Shemen of the Manoiro. Shahoya Mishkara Bizman HaKetoros. In other words, how comes Shemen together with Ketoros? So Rashi learns that they're both good things that give off good smell. He learns now that the Shemen and the Ketoros are together because in the Beis HaMikdash they were brought at the same moment, that they're sort of linked together by the Pasuk. Shenema uvahalos arenas haneres beino arboim yaktireno. We see that whenever he brought in the union of the Shemen for the Menorah, he was going in kilo to be mak to the Ketoros. And Bois Hazman, he lit the Menorah. I say L'choira is the way the Rebbe learns it. Not that he went in to light the Menorah and he lit the Ketoros. He was going over the Ketoros, and therefore but kilo Ketotor Mizu, he didn't make a special entry only for the Menorah. He was going in for the Ketoros. Before he got to the Ketoros, he made the Menorah. But kilo, we'll soon see an interesting diuk in that. Anyway, the two things come together, mitzad the Seder of the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. And what's Mesamech Leiv? So he says, Mesamech Liboy Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Taitz Rabbeinu B'chai Kor, interessant. Mesamech Leiv, means the Eibishter. And particularly that Rashi brings over there in the Hemshech of the Pasuk, Mesek Riehu, Miatzos Nofesh, Rashi learns a pshat of Mesek Riehu refers to the Eibishter, that you have to make your deeds Mesukim Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said that's much better than looking after yourself. Atzis Nefesh is looking after your own taiva. Rashi, Bimkom Shi Yamala Taiva Sliboy, he should try to make his maisim sweet in front of the Eibishter. An amazing Rashi. Taitz Rashi, Reyehu might the Eibishter. Like he brings over there, when I get to in the Sugya daughter about the goy that he came and he said to the Hillel that he wants to learn the whole Torah. So he said to him, you don't do what is hateful, you don't do to your chaver. And then Rashi brings over that really is the union from V'after l'reacha kamoicha, and that's referring to the first pshat Rashi learns over there. But you have to look after the Eibush. You have to make sure that you do everything in a way that the Eibush would please. It's a very fascinating idea. The same thing here. That Rashi learns that the Riyehu in the Hemshech is referring to the Eibishter. So if he's at a good, the way that Rabbeinu B'chai teaches it, B'Shem HaMedrash, it means that Mesamach Leiv, who of the Eibishter. ואם כן, כוי על התורס הקטוירה שבכל יום על המזבח הפנימי. In other words, that the Rabbeinu B'chaya learns that the Pasuk is talking b'Shem HaMedrash about two avodas in Kol Yom b'Beis HaMikdash, and they're connected one with the other. We see that the whole inyan of the Shemin is Bizman Ha'aloises. So the Pasuk makes it look as if Ha'alois Hanan Saneiros Beinu Abayim Yachtireno is kilo that the menorah is the main purpose of his going in. He's going in for the menorah. He should light the ketera. Or maybe we can say no, he's going in for the ketera. So maybe he should light the menorah. It's kilo. It's interesting, which is kilo that, which is kilo that. So look what the Rebbe writes. He writes an interesting thing. He says, "Im kein koyach the ketera sh'malayim yachar." Yeah. על המזבח הפנימי, שנמשך על ידי זה שמן המנורה. In other words, the Rabbi Kiva learns that the Ikar is the Keturah. And by going in to be makti the Keturahs, well, that was Kilo caused the Amshach of the Shemen. Mamela the Shemen had to be. But not that the Ikar was the Shemen, and since you're already going to the Shemen, do the menorah. No. This is you're going in. And therefore, how do we say every day in the Abaya Masada, we say, Tovish Chamish Neres, Ketenumus Tovish Steiner, Tovish Steineres, Ketenumus like Toires, Toires like Vorim. So we see that first of all he lit the lights and then he got to the Keteres. But that could be because that's the way to say the. Well, L'cher, I don't know. You would have to walk past the Mizbech Pnimi to get to the menorah. So I mean, it's not the first thing he met up with. He met up with the L'cher first of all. Nonetheless, he went past that, and that we wouldn't call that L'cher Ma'avir Nala Mitzvah.
That's talking about the morning. Maybe it's different in the evening.
Huh?
Maybe it's different in the evening.
Well, I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't think it's any different in the evening. On the contrary, he brings over the Torah Shni or Shokita. Yeah, ain't no but in pastures, it's hard to say that there's any difference between the morning and the evening. Well, Aval Chapanim says the Rebbe that the Shemen of the menorah is Nimshach Alidei the Haktor Sakteres, because he says Nimshach Alidei Zeh Shemen HaMenorah. Yeah, it's interesting. Diuku. So we could say that the Keteris is Makiv. Yeah, the Keteris is Hainin Gavoya B'Yisa, and Hainin from the Haktoras Aneras is Yadua. Let's try to avoid the Pnimis from the Nishomes and the Torah and the Terat Maya and the Hainin from Bir Hamidas for Chulu. That's really more like a Hainin from Pnimi, albeit the Pnimi from Torah, or the Pnimi Haris Mitzad Avedus Hashem. First of all, you have to have the Makiv, and then Mikoyach the Makiv, all the good things come Alidei Zeh. And that would be the Pshat. Why it is that Davki Alidei the Keteris is Nimshak the Inin of the Shemen HaMenorah. In other words, the Keteris is Kilo Einyan Atzmi V'Kloli Yesam Einyan HaMenorah. I say we could maybe say B'derech Efsha. And if Alidei that is Davki is Nifal the Inin of the Shemen HaMenorah. V'imkein Slicha v'yadua shoya oid avoda b'keteres the Yom Kippurim lifnai or lifni. It's one known as another Indian in Keteres, which was the Keteres what he took into the Kodesh HaKadoshim Yom Kippurim davke, and he was had a called Mamala Kola Kodesh HaKadoshim with the Anan HaKeteres, as it's called in the Pasik, and then he was Mazeh the Dam al Ben Abadim and the whole thing. That's called Lifnai Uliv Lifni. וצריך לומר שעל ידי זה ממשיכים בוודאי בחינת שמן. If we said that the ordinary ketores in the heichal, or that's ממשיך דווקא בזכות זה, כי הוא נמשך המשקל לעניין von shemen, then we have to say that as העניין in ketores, it went into that must be sicher ממשיך another type of shemen, a form of shemen. So the Rebbe said, we have to say, it's another type of shemen which is l'mayla meaning hama. So we have to say that that's not misparish yet exactly what shemen does is. And therefore he said, v'tzarik v'im kain, tzarik loima sheyesh beis madregas big toiras or beis madregas ba shemen. It follows it. If we're going to say that whenever you marich, you male the ketores, and you permit alideze, you mamshich and megala ainish of shemen, as in wherever you go, ketores kilo atoitzof, and there is a shemen. And we have to say there's another type of shemen, godel v'yotzim, which is nimshach alidei that ketores lifnayu lifneim. So the Rebbe said nimshach to zwei bechinas, two inyanim in both of those factors. So it's very tantalizing to know what are those inyanim. So first of all, we have to go lahavin zeh tzarik lahoktim tchila inyan haktoira. Say no chanami, but I can come to the view of these inyanim, both Aliyah and Kol Yom in the inyan of the Vedas Apnim, and now Aliyah, B'Yom Kippurim. Because where are we holding at the moment? We're holding on Cholamoid Sukkos. This Bible is a Bible Cholamoid Sukkos. So that's where we're holding. So we're sort of like, we're between the different Amshachas, after the Lifnai or Lifneim, and then there's the Gilead, the Anana Keteres, and the Chacha Sukkah, and it's only Tutchon. Machiv, which is going to be nimshach, so in the pneumias, and I'm going to do it. So we'll see that there's a shaykhas bein kol inyanim ha'etle. V'hinei isa b'pri eit chayim, the yud aleph samamonei ha'ktoiras. That's one we reckon out every day when we say the inyan of the ketoiras, that there are 11 of the samamonim of the ketoiras. What are they? He said, Hein eser nitzutzei akedusha shel oyer pnimi hamachaye es haklipetz v'yesh nitzutz echod shel oyer makiv. And that makes a chadetz. In other words, that we've got some form of nitzutz, which is really mitzad the oyer pnimi, which is like we might say, betachti samadregas of the oyer pnimi, the kedusha. And that some way or another, I'm using that expression for a moment, finds its way into the Eser Bechinas of the Klippos and is Machayadeh. But there's another Indian altogether, another big, what you might call Nitzutz, and he's a Nitzutz Kloli, and he is Benoisaf, because he's a form of a Makiv, Al Kora Klippos. Who Indian Yud Aleph Kesorim de Misabusa. Now, this is the famous lesson brought down by the Alter Rebbe. Well, he doesn't actually bring that lesson. He brings in Tanya Perivo, he brings Esa Kesorim, not Yud Aleph. He brings over there. Al Kapon in the lesson Kesorim de Misabusa, that does occur. Yeah. In Pamira, we got here a very fascinating idea that we got clippers. And there's a inyan von oyer the kedusha, albeit by even nitzoitzis bilvad, that enters them, and then you got another oyer klali of makifi, which is makif kulam, but it's counted together with the yud. In other words, it's called dafki 11. So I mean, if you count it together with the yud, then it must be somehow or another shayach and ahemshach from the yud, and therefore it's yud aleph. So he puts in brackets for nira. We could say that these Yud Netzutzes, which are nimshah from the Esser Sphere to Kedusha, we have to say Be'eze in Taktoina Bohem, אבל חופונים נמשך, על די העניין for an oil פנימי, וכן הוא בשעה הכוונס. He's brought down a similar in the Shah Kavanis from the Rizal, and over there he writes that those Yidden Utzutzes, Machayim as a clippers, and Nimshochim bepinimis in the clippers. But he says a very interesting thing. Ach, Ikar Achayus Shalehem Hu Me'oyer Maki. The Ikar Achayus from the clippers of that Yud Aleph. Yeah, that how do you call it? Samamana Yud Aleph, but that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's put down. That's a Levina Zachor. Do we say this? Levina Zachor. It's an extra thing. In other words, that's a unit from Levina, a unit from Pshitas, and Lovana, a unit from Makiv. So the Rebbe goes on now. He says a very fascinating union. The Ikar HaChai Shalehem Hu Me'oyer Makiv. Now he doesn't mean like we say in Kedusha, the Alter Rebbe said in Tanya Perek Mem Ches, the Ikar Chayes of everything is from the Sefer Kol. I don't mean everything is from the Koyach HaMakiv, but that's the Koyach HaAtzmi, and that's the Rotzen HaAtzmi. And everything, the Ikar Chayes in the sense of the Ikar fact that everything came about, Yesh Mi'ayin, is from there. So what does he mean that the Ikar Chayes is from HaMakiv? What he means is that even their Chayes, but their Pnimi, is really from the Makiv. And therefore he said, Ukishamashirim or Makiv, Hareim Meisim Misbatlim. If you take away their oil Makiv, they're just Misbatla Lagamri. We have to say that the Pnimi which is in them doesn't in any way preserve them if you take away the oil Makiv. Mashiach, we could say in Kedusha, even if the Oyer Makiv is not Pegoli, or Mitzad Tam, there's a Inim from Helem, Legabi the Oyer Makiv, nonetheless, the Chayes Pnimi, Be'ezu even, Ulai Lo B'toikiv, Ulai Lo Bofen Arogil, but it appears that there would be a Hemsha. But if you may sear the Oyer Makiv, meaning that the Makiv is Misbatil, and it doesn't have any hashpoah on them anymore, then they become completely lost. Now, where do we see that? It's put down by the Meraglim that when the Yidden started to say, "Oh, Gival, how can we go in with all the dins?" So Kolev said, what did he say? He said, "Sor Shilom, Me'alehem." That how do you call it? Their tzel has gone away from them. And we can just eat them up. In other words, he said we have nothing to worry about because the Aves is going to take away their makiv, so tzilom me'aleim, and there's nothing to worry about. We'll just eat them. we'll just absorb them. In other words, they'll be mispatel mikol teikav shalem, and they'll be kilo the loyoyu. And remember, we see that once you take away the soul, tzilom, tziloshen tzil, me'aleim. Ein Malidog, they have no meaningful Machias anymore, they just become Mispatli Mumaishim. Akamesha Kosu, but pre H. Chaim, Shara, Sierra, Perictali. Was it with that Pnimi? What's it doing there, Bakla? If the whole Chayes man is Vidamaki, and you take away the Chayes Pnimi, you take away the Chayes Amaki, if there's nothing left. So he said, the Chodik Lima. In other words, why is everything taller in the makiv? Because even though we said that there's a certain chayes which comes alidei the pnimi from the eser, he said that's really how do you call it? It's there, but it's not there. It's nimshul pohem, but ain't there must speak that if the makiv goes, then there's not enough gilu or chayes in the pnimi to keep them going. Why? He said because it's not really b'yisyachtos v'yisyashvus itam in the normal way of an pnimi. It's not mechaya der kelim and miyachid with der kelim v'derech harogil, nor teinim from blia bilvad. V'yal kein eino b'bchinas chayim lohem ki im ha'oyer makim. In other words, the Torah's eser netzutzes are b'bchinas blia bilvad. And the ikk is there Edia Maki. And Mamela the Esa and the Tutsi don't really have the ability to do anything if you take away the Maki. Now that would be Nicha. What's brought down in Siddur become Mamaka. You may say Esav wanted the bench. I'm sorry, Yitzchak wanted the bench. Esav. So it brought down that had that been Nimshach on him, then either would have been just Nivla b'toicha, it would have been Blia b'toicha, it wouldn't have been really pearl on him anything, or he would have just been completely and utterly mispatel altogether. So he brings it. So we see, according to the first Deyo, or the first Girsa, or the first Dinyan, we see even from Blia that there would have been a high oil in Kedusha, or that would have come down in as even that it was Blia b'toicha. Yeah? In other words, this would have gone in without any ashpah, without any inyanim, would have been nivla b'teicha. So I thought the shaila, what are these Esenatzutzes doing? You know, why does he begin by saying that the pre-Eit Chaim says that they're Epis Yemachayim? It's Epis Tu in Epis Yah. No, the Makiv, take away the Makiv, they just drop out. It's ain't function, and that's a stage blue. This balua ain't a kilo. It's there, but it doesn't really affect anything. It's swallowed up. So ulai yesh lema b'derech efsher. It appears is that you find in Perek Vov over there. And later on in Woods, in the Gersa Kredish chapter 25, there where he talks about the Slapses a Klippe, the Alter Rebbe says, Al Tachshidenish, and he went here, the famous Richa, the Alter Rebbe, is, it's written in both places that there's Nimshach HaNitzutz from Malchus, Dasia, the Kedusha, Nitzutz into the Klippes, and that's Nimshach Q B'toicho. That's Nimshach B'Slapshit. But the Alter Rebbe says in Perek Vov that it's Nimshach of a Sof, it doesn't really oil with it, but there are Pnimi, no Ike Pulosi by him who B'derech Makiv. That is what the Alter Rebbe in Perek Vov taught. When I feel it to the Nitzut, which is supposed to be Pnimi, it doesn't really be Mislavish and a Mamish Pnimi, but even it remains in a even for Makiv to a certain extent. Amira Nimtza, what's with the came with the Etzeman Nitzut, if it's Nimshach to them, what happens to it? So we can say that that's Bechin's Blia. Or it does have a certain effect, and it also has a certain Ashpah Aleim B'derech Makiv Pilvad, and that joins up with the general Indian of the Makiv Aklali, and so it becomes like one Makiv. Now why do I say that? Because it's brought down in certain places, and I say it's mashma here also, that Makiv is the Yichachais of all of them. So come to us that Makiv's got to do with all of them. So Yesh Lema, that all of them have a certain Makiv, mitzad the Nitzutz itself, and they all join in together, and it's all like one Makiv, and therefore they're Chayis, and they are two different inyanim. Not just mitzad one aspect of them, but mitzad all of them. They're all like that. Amamera Zainicha, the Loshen Yudal of Kisorin, the Misa, because Lachayv only got one Kes and the rest of it's Pnimi. No, he said all Yud Aleph of them are all Kesarim. So what does I say Kesarim? They're Makifim. Even the Pnimim are really Makifim. Kain Yesh Lema B'derech Hefsher, and Lafi said, if we learn it that way, I think it's Mishashi, if you think carefully about it. And then what's the time good? Well, we call them Yud Aleph Kesarim, the Misabusa. And I mean, you can touch Kesarim in different ways, but a Keser is a Makiv. He's a Makiv Biyika, but he's a Makiv with all things together. I mean, the Keser of the Melech is what keeps the whole Medina going in a way. So these types of Kesarim, they're really the highest, even though, like the big Makiv, they're also like a sort of a Pnimi. Of a Sokosof, the real Pnimi by him is Bablia. The real Inan of Pnimi is Bablia. And the Emes type of Ashpah, what they have, a feel of Chayis, is Makiv. The whole thing is Makiv. And therefore their BM is Yud Aleph. Because there's them and then there's their own Chayas. And the Q there, they're like two separate Inyonim Lagamri, and this is Yud, and there's another thing altogether called the Chayas. There was Yud, it's Yud Aleph. Kein Yesh Lema B'derech Efsher. Avial kein einer befindet Chayes Lahem ki im Oira Maki. Ve'ine atam Mashe b'kedusha Heim Esses Firas Davke. Why is it that in Kedusha we say only Esses Firas? V'isa b'sefer Yetzirah Essa v'loi Taisha v'loi Achadesrei. That in Kedusha the Amit is Davke only Essa. If in Klippa Mitzad the Oira Maki, then it's Yud Aleph. Then why is it that in Kedusha we say lo Yud Aleph? Only Essa. Rabbi said because Uve Sitra Achra hein Yud Aleph. Sorry, and the Sitra Achra it's Tavki 11 and not 10. Hu mipnei shebekedusha hinei achayes shemachayes es spirit hu betachlis hayichud im spirit. That's the term. We're going to now be married a whole series of heichachas and biurim how the chayes of mamish be shachtas. But that's the mafteach. The mafteach is that in es spirit the chayes and the makabel are all one yichud gomo betachlis hayishachtas. And therefore you can't separate the chayes from the makabel. And therefore he's 10. And therefore it's only 10. It's loy ta'isha v'loy echad. It's b'diuk shleimus hamizpah. What does this answer? And that was the Eibus's kavanah kachu ratzah. V'lo zeh v'lo pachot v'lo yom ter, as you might say. That's what the Sefer Yetzirah says. Loy ta'isha v'loy echad. Ve'ilo v'inyan asitra achar. It's dachi yud aleph. That's like we said, the klolos achayes, lo racham makiv to levein azaka. The other inyonim are also klulim in that makiv. It's all makiv. The whole, what you might call significance of the existence of these koiches is a makiv. And therefore, they are one thing, and there's another thing called the achayes. In kedusha b'diuk afuch b'kteya hofchi gomo. That the makabel and the kli and the oir are mislavish b'toira and the chayes and all the inyonim what that oir means, all of them are mamish one after. So then we can't possibly one hishyachat. Therefore you can't talk about any more than whatever the Eibishter meant it to be in the number of the spheres, and he meant 10, so you've only got 10. It's a very famous beer. Okay, 3. Zay Matzliah. Listen, you remember what we spoke about? Who mipnei shebekedusha achayes shemachayes es spheres hu betachlis hayichud im spheres. Ukamayma ve'ahu naviu hu kenishmosele gufa. We bring in Posach Eliyahu. We talk about the Amshach of the Kav. The union of the hu naviu. Well, a naviu means like how they call a river, something which how they call a
flow.
First.
A flow.
A flow. B'diuk. That's the word. Well, that flowing power which comes out from the Eibishter, well, that is kenishmasa legufa. That means a kav. Yeah. And why is it called naviu? Because it's noveya. It comes b'dera bakia after the tzimtzum. Well, that's mislavish in the Esses Files. Yeah, kenishmosele gufa. The gufa heina sphira, heina kelim. That's one of the concept of sphira. Is tafki in the kelim as we had barichas in the early part of the Hemshah. And that's the union of and the naviu is the oil. What that's the union with the kav, and that is kenishmosele li gufa. The yachas between the naviu, the Hainu, the Yoyer, the Kav, and the Makablim, which are the Spheres, but they are the Kelim, or that's like the Inyan of a Neshama into a Guf. Okamayma, Va'ahu Naviu, Ukenish Mozer a Guf. Okamayisha Eimrim, Lifneze, Vakama Gufin, Tkinas Loin. Yeah, we see that the Spheres are called Gufin. The actual kelim of the spheres are called gufim. Chesed deroya yamina. Chesed is the right arm. V'chula. What that's a description which is matim to a guf. Erakav amislavish b'teichom. Hu b'chinas hanaviu. Shehu kenishmos el gufa. He said that's called like a neshama to a guf. El derek moshu הנשמה המשלבשת בגוף, הרי אם יש הנשמה עם הגוף, הם שני דברים שהם מרוחקים זה מזה בתכלס הריחו. Yeah, the guf is in Gashmi. It can even be nimshach in the Chumri, with the whole arichas. Ve'ilo, the Indian and Neshama is a chelek eleka. B'shorosh a chelek eleka mimal. It's a Indian from Gilo imamish of Elakus. So that Neshama, nonetheless, Mikol Mokim, Hari Ura Nefesh, Mislavish Badam, O Mishyachad Imoi, Bisachtus Mamish, Ad Shadam Nikro Nefesh, Ki Adam Hua, Kamashikosu, Ki Adam Hua Nefesh. So we're going here in a couple of Slavim. First of all, we're dealing with it's well known that the Dam is the Mamutza between the Ura Nefesh and the Guf. It's put down in Tzilis, you got Ruchnis Shebagashmi and you have Gashmi Shebaruchnis, and the two of them unite in the Dam. And Davki through the Dam is you get the Chayas HaGuf. So the Ikeh is Galus of the Nefesh is in the Dam, not in the actual Guf. But what he's going to show is that on both angles, it's Mamish B'tachas HaYichud, the Yichud of the Nefesh with the Dam, and the Yichud of the Dam with the Guf. Both of them are in an even from Actus Gemura. So therefore he begins with the Yichud of the Nefesh with the Dam. Mishachad Imoy Bisaktas Mamish Ad Shadam Nikro Nefesh. Akameshikosu Ki Adam Hu HaNefesh. In other words, that the Dam is the Nefesh Mamish, meaning that the Yichud between them, V'ainu Mitzad Oitzim Ma'isaktas HaNefesh Bihadam. As well known, one of the Purim, and that, like we said, that the Dam has, and so what we call Ruchni Shebagashmi is, it's got these Eidim, Dakim, Pnimim, what they become as Kli to the Slapsus of the Nefesh. Validei Zeh, who is Achtus HaNefesh, Ima Guf Beklau, Validei what you had the Yichud, with the Eidim, Pnimim, in the Dam, well, that brings that the Nefesh, B'mele goes down into the Guf. In other words, the Dam is like a Mamutza, which brings the Slapsus, the Seifi is of the Nefesh in the Eivra Guf. V'shneihem yachad nikroim Odom. And both the Nefesh together with the Guf, through the medium of the Dam, well, that's called Odom. Das heißt der Mensch. In other words, the Dam or Guf, beli Nefesh is not a Odom. A Nefesh beli Dam, and beli Guf is also not Odom. And Davki, the two of them together, this is the Yichud of Ha'isachtus Nifloa, that they become mamish one entity. The Aleph who Achayis, V'im Adam Yachad Nikro Odom. The Aleph is the infant Chayis, Aleph indicatory of what the Nefesh really comes from Aluf Yishalaylam, and that together with the Dam, well, that's called Odom. He said, V'chein B'dera Klal, through the medium of the Dam, the Neshama Imaguf Nikro Odom. The Davki, when the Neshama enters the Guf, B'Yislapshus Gemura, or then you got a Odom. The Aguf Ifnei Atu Nikra Guf, HaOdom, V'chein HaNeshama, Nikra Nishmat HaOdom. Or B'Yiskalu L'Shneim Yachad, Nikra Odom. Davki, that causes the union of Odom. Mamela will see Al Derech Zeh, B'chol HaInyonim in Kedusha, not only in the Odom Lamata, but also in the Odom Ha'elyoin, and the union from the Spheres, we'll see the Yichud of the Kav with the Spheres, Ad Kedikat, it's impossible to separate between them. They become Mamish Ishachtus Gemura. Well, that's the Seder B'Kol HaKedusha, that the Chayes and the Elakus and the Mekabel become Mamish one Yisach Gemura Ad Shehem Nekroim Al Shem Shemara Al Achtus Hazeh. Well, that's union for Odom. And even Lamaila we use the same expression, Odom. Ho'elyoin Kaviochel. That's going to be the Hevdel Bein Kol HaMadregas Shebekadusha, the Gabi how it is in the Yuma says, we'll see as we go. Along. This Bamela, the Eiveshof, and this is doubtless got to do with Yutas Kislev, Habo Aleina Lateva. We see the Alter Rebbe brings in the famous Igeros, Baboya Imi Petaba, the Geros HaKodesh. He says that the closer you come, Hag B'Lamaila, when you get a Gilui Chesed from the Eibush and Nes, that's elevated you up and it's lifted you up close to Him. So you might think, oh, here I am going up, I'm going higher, and I'm comfortably nearer to the Eibush than I was before. So the Elder said, if you're nearer to the Eibush, then you're going to be bottled with Tachas HaBitl. That's going up the autumn. As our shiftless that every time he has to have a new chesed. Yasi Eves the Beetle Gomer, the Eves I'm over, and the Eves helped him come over. Aber not he says, oh, I am, But it's like every time a new Beetle and a new is battles. But that's the yichud of the earth, with the kelim, at Kedikach. The clay, the kegel, he feels the inner of the earth, at Kedikach, and he just becomes bottle, a beetle. He's got a chayes of going weiter mit beetle. He does everything in an open from beetle to the Emerson Kavanah. Amen. Can you hear?